Going to go,
He
I don't know
might
if that
be
was
staying
south,
on
north,
maybe
the
jumping
north
on another freeway, the
710.
110 or 710.
North 710. And again, if anything, Giovanna and Bruce, as you join us, relatively actually slow speed. Seems like the driver is actually driving below the speed limit under these circumstances. And no doubt they see the now two LAPD cruisers behind him. I mean, he has to be well aware that they are now in pursuit, that they did not, in fact, get away.
Right. And Bruce, at this distance between the vehicle in front and the law enforcement officers, can they communicate? Or is that too far away, like in terms of...
communicate with the suspect?
Yes.
No. I mean, they're not going to use the loudspeaker because, you know, sound travels, and unfortunately the suspect vehicle's in front. But they know they're being chased. Lights and sirens from the police vehicles behind, the helicopters overhead. They know it's happening.
Yeah. And what happens to the suspect who was in that red car initially? The suspect that was a passenger, and we saw them ditch that car and run in the opposite direction. What happens in terms of with that person in terms of law enforcement?
Well, LAPD or whatever law enforcement agency that would take them into custody and basically interrogate them, ask them questions. Who is that person? What are they doing? Why are they running from us? To get as much information as they can on the suspect so they can build up basically a criminal history or a workup to see if this person has been in jail before, if they're a violent offender, that kind of information.
You are seeing on the right side of your screen a video from earlier when that red pickup truck got off the freeway, was driving somewhat erratically at times on the wrong side of the road in more of a speeding situation. Interesting, Giovanna and Bruce, that both of the vehicles, both the one that was apparently stolen and then the white pickup truck that picked him up, both of them are work trucks of some sort. And again, this was stolen. The red pickup truck reported stolen earlier today in the Downey area. And again, to clarify and reiterate, if you're just joining us, that there were two people that we saw in the red pickup truck right there. You see a passenger get out, walk out slowly. We lose track of that person. This guy getting into that black RV was the driver. He had a dog, left the dog in the RV, ran back now over to this white pickup truck, got in the back seat of the white pickup. So that maybe brings you up to speed if you're just joining us as we break in with this coverage, that you have an accomplice, a driver in this white Chevy pickup truck. You have a suspect from the initial pursuit that's now in the back seat.
Yeah. We're getting a couple pieces of information that the stolen vehicle, that incident may have happened on the eastbound 5 near Lorena. That's new information we're getting. And also just noting that the 710 freeway will end coming up here as it nears Cal State LA. So what
And this area always jams up at that junction.
Yes. So
I'm sorry, Mark, Giovanna, one of the things, going back, we talk about pursuits, and one of the things that they've done studies on are the third vehicle pursuits, meaning the unintentional motorists who are involved in accidents with injury and because of a pursuit. So that's one of the things also the pursuing officers take into account, as does the watch commander. How dangerous is this pursuit?
And at this point, I mean, at the current moment, it's not. I mean, again, we have not seen this white Chevy go over the speed limit, drive erratically, drive on the wrong side of the road. So it's slow. That is in the best interest of law enforcement. I mean, that's on their side. They have they have time on their side to get this resolved. I don't think under these circumstances that they would pull off because it's not dangerous. He's not speeding. They know he's in there, so they're going to keep following him. Yeah, that's the mindset?
Yes, that is the mindset. As long as it's safe to do so, and the criteria for the pursuit, like we talked about, is met. The helicopters overhead are relaying information to the pursuing officers, such as cross traffic additions, like you just said, speed, direction of travel, all those things. So they're taking a lot off the pursuing officer's plate.
Here we go, Bruce. Looks like this vehicle's now coming to a stop.
Yes, and we're seeing the CHP vehicle behind it. If you could pull away, Air 7, if you can pull away, exiting their vehicles there, both of them, LAPD and CHP.
Well, this would be fantastic if they can just bring this to an end. Again, you have a driver, an accomplice, and then the suspect, the initial suspect in the back. We assume or think only 2 in the car. Not sure if there are additional. So now the situation, we have CHP re-engaged, now taking over this part of the pursuit to bring it to an end.
Yeah, and we can only hope that this will end peacefully, that they will communicate with them, and they will heed their warnings to exit the vehicle. It does appear like there's three people inside.
We got 3 now.
Yes, 3 people inside.
At least.
Well, the initial suspect went into the back cab.
Yeah.
And maybe that's why he went into the back cab, because there were 2 people in the front seat. And I thought for a moment maybe it was another carjacking, but it was just too calm, and it just seemed as if they were waiting for him.
He was certainly being picked up, whether there was a phone call or whatnot. That vehicle was there waiting for this guy. So now we have at least 3 people in this Chevy. We'll see if there are additional. It looks like a woman there in the passenger seat.
And Bruce, walk us through what law enforcement on the ground are telling these people.
Basically, they're giving them instructions, very simplified instructions. In this case, some agencies will call the suspects out and have them lay on the asphalt between their cars and the suspect vehicle, keeping their hands at a distance away from their sides, maybe lift their shirt up. But they're giving them very short, concise commands, so there's no confusion by anybody.
Oh,
no.
Great.
Okay. Well,
not what CHP wanted. Perhaps the suspect or that woman then taking over driving of this vehicle.
Well,
Yikes.
we don't know if the suspect was armed. There has been no word of that, but we don't know if there's any coercion underway. He was in the back cab. Again, making a lot of assumptions here because we just don't have those details. But it's interesting that they would have stopped to allow that driver to exit. It was the driver that exited.
It was the driver that exited.
And
it was not the suspect. And then we know there also at least is a woman in this Chevy as well. And notice here already the speed. That's quicker than the previous driver.
Seen. And maybe the driver was complaining and saying, I don't want any part of this.
Yeah.
And let me out. Again, making assumptions here, but that's a very good point you're making, Mark.
It would not surprise me.
The driving was very slow and intentional and methodical, and now we are seeing speeds climb.
Yeah, it would not surprise me, Bruce, if the suspect got back in the driver's seat. Oh, something thrown out the window there. Maybe a weapon, something, a couple things are being thrown out the driver's side window. It would not surprise me if this is the suspect, the initial suspect of that red truck now in the driver's seat of this car.
Yeah, and we're hearing from our desk that this white pickup truck is traveling 90 miles an hour. So the speeds definitely, now we have confirmation, have picked up.
Bruce, well, I'm not sure if you can tell, but that may have been the end of the freeway, the 710, because we were coming right towards, we were coming right there at the end of the 710, which is near Cal State LA, which I think would have been to the right if he would have gone. But this driver now on surface streets, which is a real concern, given the traffic, pedestrians, intersections and whatnot, always a heightened risk when these drivers of these pursuits get off the freeway. And now, wrong side of the road.
Westbound on Valley. We can tell you that.
Something changed on the freeway. Whether it was, I don't want to do this anymore, I'm going to give up, and the other people maybe are believing they're going to go back to jail for a longer period of time, said, you know what, we're not giving up. And, you just had some disagreements of the people in the vehicle, but, now there's speeds and they're driving.
And they just threw something else out.
That may have been just trash.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Hey, Bruce, how about this possibility? The suspect who was in the back seat was thinking, hey, I don't like how you're driving. Stop, get out. I'm going to take over. Essentially is what happened.
It's possible. You had multiple people in the vehicle who obviously had a disagreement of how this was going to end with law enforcement.
And this might be getting back onto the freeway, but making a U-turn here. Again, kind of all over the road.
Westbound on Valley. We're not sure which direction he is.
Our desk is doing a great job keeping us updated on the locations.
We don't have Sky Map, which we usually have the benefit of from Air 7. Don't have that today. But you can see the law enforcement chopper following as well. Just a moment ago, it appeared on the screen. And again, look at driving in the middle lane of traffic.
We're told this is Alhambra Street.
Fast. Okay, on Alhambra. and weaving in and out of lanes to pass slower cars.
And Bruce, when you have this, you know, the way this driver is now maneuvering on the road, you know, going down the wrong side, you know, not following traffic laws, that changes everything. That once again re-escalates the situation on where law enforcement has to figure out how they're going to handle it, whether they pull back, whether they track, kind of changes their initial response earlier.
Very much so, because law enforcement doesn't want to force the suspect's hand. Meaning, like you said, they're driving on the wrong side of the road. The speeds are way above what's posted for the speed limit area. The other thing, too, is, you know, can you pit a vehicle this size? It's very difficult because that vehicle outweighs the patrol cars.
Yeah, and we're getting, he already blew through a stop sign. There's another one that he's blowing through. And, you know, making these turns, it's probably not easy to see what's to come, what's ahead. If you have those pedestrians, you know, you got a pedestrian there on the sidewalk.
Right there. And now as he's going through residential areas or mixed use areas, you will see more pedestrians and people out with their dogs. Sometimes we'll see suspects drive through neighborhoods they're familiar with. It's probably too early to determine if that's the case here, but he's certainly comfortable with the streets here in this area and continues to blow through intersections, not driving safely at all, putting everyone at risk, which is so common with these pursuits. And he just ran another stop sign.
Yeah, he's not stopping anywhere. He's been blowing through every stop sign that he's passed, and at times been pretty close to potential head-on collisions with other cars around these bends. There have been some close calls here with this driver, going to try to maneuver past this guy. And here's the problem. These drivers, like this silver SUV in front, they don't know what's going on. They just see this, you know, what they probably think is a crazy guy coming up behind them. So certainly concerning for other motorists on the road. Air 7, if you could pull out just a bit to give us a view, if we have law enforcement, how far behind are they if they are trailing? See, this might be one of those tracking mode situations where they now have pulling back because it's off the freeway, but no doubt still following with the helicopter.
You know, at this point, if I was the watch commander, I would probably request that the units go into a tracking mode or surveillance mode. Let the helicopters do their job.
Oh, look at this. Look at this, Bruce. He just went over a middle divider there onto another street. And now we don't know where he's on at this point. We'll try to get an update for you. But again, speeding. Wrong side of the road as he goes through the signal. Let's see. Yeah, no one is chasing him now. That's the last word from our assignment desk, according to the LAPD.
He's now on Huntington, and we actually are being told that police units are about a half mile away, and maybe that goes along with the surveillance right there through the middle, now wrong side of the road. Oh, you hate to see this. Yeah, you hate to see this kind of behavior.
Very dangerous.
Again, law enforcement about a half mile behind as they track where they are close enough to be there should this come to an end. You know, they're not far behind, although they're not right behind this guy, they're still nearby.
Right, and this behavior alone, him driving in against incoming traffic, is enough, I would think, for law enforcement to really try to put an end to this, as opposed to stopping altogether and pulling back.
And let me ask Air 7 if I can, are we able to get a view of the driver compartment area to see if we can see if this is the same guy from earlier who got out of that red pickup truck? And we see the arm there. The driving style, the speed now, the way he's going across the road, it's certainly similar to what the situation was earlier when he was in the red pickup truck. So
we're hearing from Air 7, they are confirming it is the suspect that was in the red pickup truck.
Yeah. So he does have a female, at least one female passenger in this white Chevy now as well. So he's not alone in there. So whether she's now considered an accomplice as well, from what we've seen, she was never behind the wheel. She's been a passenger the entire time. So what her role in this is, how she knows this suspect, that is all to
they're now on Mission Road, and all of those things you're pointing out, Mark. We have very little information. We're sharing, we're giving you as much as we know, and all we know is that this started in the Downey area, off southbound 5, I believe, a stolen vehicle, that red pickup truck we saw earlier. And we saw the suspect who was driving this white pickup truck and another passenger ditch that vehicle near a homeless encampment. They each went separate ways. The driver of this white pickup ran into a motorhome, left the dog, and then jumped into this pickup truck, which appeared to be waiting for him with 2 people inside.
And if you're wondering what we're seeing on the right side, if you're just tuning into this pursuit, the video there on the right side was when this white pickup truck stopped briefly on the northbound 710 near Cal State LA. The driver got out, who was apparently an accomplice, and then the original suspect continued on. So it only stopped for maybe 2 minutes or so. Now on Mission, from Huntington to Mission, if I'm correct, I think that's kind of approaching like the San Gabriel area on city streets. Approaching the 5, I'm told? Okay. So now, I mean, we've moved across multiple freeways, wrong side of the road now again.
And Bruce, are you still with us? Can you comment? Can you comment on just the drastic or dramatic change in the driving behavior that we've seen here between the 2 drivers?
You know, like we talked about earlier, it seems like they had a discussion of, I don't want to go back to jail. And so that's why we've seen a more aggressive posture by the suspects to run over mediums on the wrong side of the road, blow through stop signs, lights, etc. You know, the only hope is that this ends peacefully and no one is hurt in any kind of collision.
Yeah, and I think we can all tell that this pickup truck, to be honest, is not in the best condition. So you wonder how well it can hold up driving like this, and God forbid there's any collisions that occur, because he's certainly getting close. A pedestrian right there on that crosswalk.
Yeah, he's on westbound Main now, near the 5 freeway, is what we're being told, and I believe this is near the USC Medical Center.
Of course, we have broken in with this special programming of this pursuit. Yeah, absolutely. A lot of people on the road. We do want to mention this, that there's a potential that we may be at any moment, any minute, going to an ABC News special report unrelated to this coverage. And if that is the case, we will continue following this pursuit. In fact, we're going to have a video box on the lower corner of the screen that you continue watching during the ABC News special report. So even if we do go to that network special report, we are going to stay on top of this until its conclusion, of course.
Look at this close call. He almost ran into a truck coming his way. He went into oncoming traffic and just missed that large truck, a white large truck. So many close calls we've seen already.
This looks like downtown now. Is this right by Union Station? Yeah, this is, there's Alameda Street right there.
Just past Philippe's, yes.
Yep.
So not far from Union Station. He might be on Alameda, is that?
Yep, Alameda and Cesar Chavez,
Alameda,
just past Olvera Street. Union Station would now be behind him. Approaching the area. City Hall would be to his left. Hall of Justice to his left. Certainly a congested area in downtown Los Angeles. Now moving on the right side of the road, would be approaching the 110 freeway ahead of him.
Yeah, he doesn't seem to want to stop.
No, certainly not.
Sure. And again, we don't have any word on whether he is armed and how that stolen pickup truck was taken. If it was a carjacking, no details on that yet. We're still waiting to get some information.
And Bruce, if I could ask you, Bruce Thomas, our law enforcement expert here on the phone with us, the idea that law enforcement, we've been told, at least on the ground, is about a half-mile back. That approach, is that to not escalate the situation where this driver feels that they have law enforcement right on their tail, and then should something happen, they're close enough to get there?
That's correct, yeah. We've seen a total wanton disregard by the suspect driving this vehicle, and so law enforcement doesn't want to push them over the edge, so to speak, making them go any faster or driving any more dangerous than they are. But when they do stop and decide they want to give up, law enforcement will be there pretty quick to conduct a felony traffic stop and take everyone into custody.
Yeah, we believe he is still on, he's on...
Still in downtown, approaching the 110.
Approaching the 110 freeway now.
In a moment, he'd be getting into Echo Park area.
Yes, I wonder if he will be jumping on the 110 freeway so he can gain some traction. He's driving slower on the surface streets, not as slow as he should, I should say.
I could be wrong, but this might even transition into Glendale Boulevard or Alvarado.
It might be, it might be Glendale, and then you could jump on the 2 freeway.
Yeah.
It is, in fact, Glendale.
Yeah, coming up on the 2 as well.
Glendale Boulevard.
Lots of options of where you can go. Certainly a congested area here, and you saw right there passing Echo Park Boulevard.
So Bruce, if you were working today, what would you tell your officers on the ground?
Don't get involved. Stay back. We have the helicopters doing a surveillance mode of this, but be in the area and let's formulate a plan for the terminus of this pursuit, meaning how are we going to take them into custody if they foot bail or run? What is our plan?
Right.
Because that's one thing in law enforcement we do is have plan A, B, C, and D.
And in those plans, would a spike strip in this situation and or a pit maneuver play a role at all? I know there are a lot of cars on the road right now where he is, but we've seen him in some areas with less traffic.
Yeah, a spike strip, if he was transversing the same streets, they could formulate that plan. But he or she, we're not sure which one's driving, is basically all over the board on this. They've left the Downey area. They've gone through East LA, Whittier, and now they're in downtown Los Angeles.
Yeah, back onto southbound Glendale Boulevard. So kind of made a loop back. He was approaching the 5 or the 2 and then kind of looped back.
Yeah, he's making his way into the Silver Lake district now, which is even more congested.
Yeah. Lots of pedestrians in both of these areas, which is always a concern, especially seeing the driving style on the wrong side of the road, blowing through stop signs. And as Bruce mentioned, and if you're just joining here, we don't know, we assume, we believe pretty confidently that this is the original suspect who's driving, and that there's a female passenger, potential accomplice, right through that stop sign, also in the car. That would put 2 people in the car, not sure if there's a third person. And it was really interesting, again, earlier that he had a dog that he got out of the first car, the first pickup truck that was stolen, left that dog in the RV that he ditched it at. So at least 2 people now. So you're going to have to approach this if and when it comes to an end, getting both of them out and how you handle that situation.
Right, and that's the original stolen red vehicle that we were talking about, and that there is the RV, the motorhome that we saw the suspect running into, and now you see video of him running away from the motorhome back towards this white pickup truck that seemed to be waiting for him right here.
Yeah.
He almost jumped into the front seat and then decided to get back in the cab, and we assume it's because there was that woman in the front seat. And to the left of your screen, you're looking at live pictures from Air 7. I believe he was on Temple. He turned on Union. We don't know where he is right now, but we believe this is in the downtown area adjacent to Silver Lake. He's been driving for a minute, so we're not sure what his latest location is.
And the way that he approached that black RV encampment area, it sure seemed that he knew that location, whether it was a friend's place or where he stayed, the way that he entered that RV, which, Bruce, could be a really good lead for law enforcement. I got to assume that some officers then responded to that location trying to get some more information about the suspect. Is that likely happening as we speak?
Yeah, they probably went over to that encampment, in a friendly manner. Basically, anybody know this person? Tell me a little bit about him. Do you have a name, anything like that at all? But we have seen vehicles that have been taken by unhoused individuals from homeless encampments before. It's just an opportunity for them to drive a vehicle, which they wouldn't normally have.
Getting information that this was a carjacking, and that would elevate the charges and also the level of danger that this person poses to the public. And so in this case, it might change the strategy of law enforcement and actually encourage them to stay on this person.
That is interesting.
I'm sorry, Mark. What you have is a felony crime now. Before, you have taking the vehicle without the owner's consent. It's basically a misdemeanor, but now it's been elevated to a grade 1 felony, a carjacking, 215 of the Penal Code.
Yeah, that definitely is different from what we were assuming and discussing, that this guy, the previous driver, had stopped, intentionally to let his buddy in. But CHP saying that this was then a carjacking for this pickup truck.
For the pickup truck,
yeah.
That's my understanding. The original red 2006 Ford pickup truck was a carjacking.
Okay.
And it makes sense that if they were trying to get away from authorities, they would have gone back to where they could ditch it near to where they think they could escape, right, where the motorhome was. Hopefully when law enforcement does respond to that motorhome, there's some sort of ID. Bruce was talking about trying to identify who the suspect was, and hopefully there is some sort of identification or someone nearby who would know who he is.
Yeah, it creates all those questions, all the investigative questions when you have two different vehicles, different people involved. So while we try to sort that out, even though law enforcement is giving us that information, you know, sometimes it even gets, you know, clarified after the fact. So we'll see what the, you know, the ultimate situation is or was.
These are always so fluid. We're getting details. We hear one thing and then there's a correction or a clarification on some details. So, you know, bear with us. We're sharing as much information as we can as we receive it. But again, you're looking at a live pursuit from Air 7 HD over downtown Los Angeles. This has been underway for almost an hour.
Yeah, I'd say about an hour now. Yep.
And authorities are following this white pickup truck with two people inside. We believe the driver of this white pickup truck was the person responsible for a carjacking in Downey of a red pickup truck. And we showed you earlier video of that red pickup truck being abandoned. Were you going to add something? No,
just the location here, 8th and I believe that would be Figueroa, where maybe we lost sight of him for just a moment behind those buildings. There it is again. I would think that this is now northbound on Figueroa, I believe, you know, when looking at the location now into the downtown area. Air 7, I think we had him there to the right, if that was not him. I thought it was.
It looked like a white pickup truck in some distress, which is what we've been seeing. Maybe we have.
There, great work by Air 7 to get a better handle on the location
it's
of
hard
that
with
pickup.
The tall buildings in downtown LA.
And what our pilot and cameraman, what they're dealing with is the same thing that law enforcement is dealing with too. When you get these buildings on the location, if the vehicle stops, if they go in somewhere, the buildings make it that much more difficult. Bruce, what is that, you know, aspect of the pursuit when it gets into an area where you have these buildings, you have parking garages? That's another aspect, a concern of escape routes for the suspect. Is that correct?
That is 100% correct. The buildings provide cover that the airship can't get low enough to maintain a visual on the suspect. And basically, when they go into the tall building areas or even parking garages, the helicopter is rendered useless.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. Yesterday, we were following a pursuit at the same time of day, and the driver in that case stopped at a residential building and ran into the parking garage. So, you know, that poses all sorts of new problems. But this pickup truck seems to be going through downtown LA and not stopping and perhaps not looking for a place where he could ditch the vehicle.
Yeah, on Olive here, just above Grand Central Market, under this underpass. And did they come out on the other side? May have come to a stop here, just as we were discussing.
Yes. Well, let's wait a second and make sure.
Yeah.
That, it's really hard with these high rises to see what's happening on that street beyond the buildings.
Bruce, let me ask you this. If that truck stopped there on Olive, I believe is where they were located, how quickly does law enforcement get in there? Because there are multiple levels for them to escape. What do they do to secure the area?
Basically, they're going to set up a containment. The vehicle has stopped. Officers will flood the area. They will begin looking for the suspect. They may even request a canine unit, also to get a scent of the suspect. So basically, it's just a containment at this point.
Okay, we're getting word that the vehicle is still evading police, still on the road, still driving, and we're also getting word that the female victim in that white pickup might be a carjacking victim. At last word, we knew they were near 7th and Olive. Are you still there with us, Bruce?
Grand would be to the left, Olive to the right.
Bruce, did you hear that last piece that the female victim in that white pickup truck might be, or the female might be a victim of carjacking, and that elevates this even further, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. You know, the suspect vehicle, when it does stop, you're going to have a containment. Hopefully the vehicle will stop with suspects in it, and they can do a felony traffic stop, calling them out one at a time, giving them instructions like we said, and then this can all end peacefully.
Yeah, I'm just concerned because right there at the top of the screen, at the top of the angel flight that you see, I never saw the pickup truck pass out of that area.
It seems that we've lost it at this point. I did get word that the pickup truck was still on the move from our assignment desk. Can we get confirmation? Okay, now we're hearing that they may have pulled over. So we
navigating
are going to
around
do
these
what we
buildings,
can.
yeah.
It's very, very difficult, very tricky.
As we navigate around this building and look, I guess, south on Olive is the last time we had visual of the pickup truck. And I believe it is an underpass, which would have given that driver
an opportunity
to stop, which was exactly what we were discussing.
Yeah, and we do have some earlier video we want to show you. That is the red pickup truck that was carjacked. We now know it was carjacked, and that is the main suspect running into the motorhome as we've been describing in his car coming around. This is the same suspect running back towards the pickup truck that we believed was waiting for him, because it seemed as if he jumped in and they knew who he was. But now we're hearing that the female in the front seat of this white pickup truck may be a carjack victim.
We're now going to go to General Hospital. We will continue streaming on the ABC7 Los Angeles streaming app. We'll go to General Hospital. We'll see you at 3 p.m. here on ABC.
Running around the motorhome, and then we saw that suspect. He was in there for a few minutes and left the motorhome and ran back towards the white pickup truck. We were telling you about the white pickup truck that they were currently in for the last 30, 40 minutes. And to your left, you're looking at live pictures from Air 7 of downtown LA, where we are still trying to locate where that pickup truck stopped. We did get word that it did pull over at some point around 7th and Olive.
Yeah, and this may be that situation that we were concerned about when it comes to apprehending the suspect, that they, at least for the last few minutes, may have gotten away. Unclear if law enforcement on the ground is close by, but right there on Olive is the location that we never saw the white pickup, the second vehicle that the suspect got in. Never saw him come out of that area, and it's an area that has multi-level, an overpass, an underpass, and so there would have been locations that both he and the second person in the vehicle could have gotten away to.
And Bruce, for those who might be watching, words of advice for folks who might find themselves in the middle of a pursuit when it's underway, or at the end of a pursuit where the suspect hasn't been located, what would you tell the public to do?
In the middle of a pursuit like this, where a vehicle is driving by you, maintain your speed, maintain everything you're doing. Let it go around you. Don't become part of the problem, as we've seen before, by stopping, trying to box them in. We've seen big semi-trucks get involved and that kind of thing. We highly don't recommend that. And if you're at the end of a pursuit or a terminus, when there are officers with guns drawn and stuff, stay in your vehicle. Take direction from them. Hunker down in the vehicle if you can. Lay on the seat. Let law enforcement do their job, and then they'll safely evacuate you from the problem.
Right. The unfortunate problem is that in downtown LA, there is so much foot traffic in some places. People may be completely unaware of what's happening. And, we become accustomed to helicopter noise in and out throughout the day. And so people may not even pay attention and realize that there is, a dangerous situation underway.
Yeah, I had mentioned some streets earlier. Of course, the main focus was right here on Olive. Hill is to the left and Grand is to the right. And that is that plaza that you see is all part of, it's called One California Plaza. There's like an amphitheater there. And multi-level, dining, and I know there's parking there on one side. Everything from this location looks calm. People are moving about, clearly unaware of the situation. So it leads me to believe that right underneath there on the road that we can't really get a view of, that potentially that white pickup came to a stop and they bailed. That seems likely at this point.
And what is the strategy in this case for law enforcement, Bruce?
Basically, what they're going to do is they're going to coordinate units that were maybe a half mile back or a little closer, get in the area, let's locate the suspect vehicle, and then let's go from there. Let's start talking to people. If you see anybody run from the vehicle, which way did they go? Maybe look inside some of the businesses that are there. looking for the suspect. So there'll be telltale signs of people there, their elevated heart rate, maybe a little sweat on their brow, a little more anxious than just a normal patron.
Yeah, those are very good points to make. And we stand by, Bruce. We don't want you to go anywhere just yet. Thank you for talking with us. But we have Chris Christie in our other chopper in Air 7. Chris joining us now. Chris, any luck finding or locating that white pickup?
Oh, right now, Giovanna, all eyes are on that overpass right there. It appears, at least from everything we've been able to gather, that the suspect drove under there and never came out the other side. So somewhere amidst this cluster of apartment buildings, there appears to be a either an abandoned vehicle or some kind of a hiding spot where the suspect is either on foot or in that truck, most likely abandoning that vehicle, though I would imagine by this point it just appears as though they have run out of luck. There was nobody on the ground behind him, as you know, and the air unit ran out of fuel and had to vacate the area as well. There is a CHP fixed-wing airplane over the area, but right now there is no visual of that suspect or the alleged victim. There is some ambiguity whether the driver of the white pickup truck was indeed a victim or perhaps an acquaintance. They are treating it as a potential carjacking victim. But the oldest trick in the book, as you guys both know, is to make your way into the parking garages and skyscrapers of downtown LA. It just makes it so easy to get away with just so much. I mean, there's just so many hiding spots in downtown LA that the possibilities are endless here, and so are the hiding spots.
Chris Christie, thank you so much for that update. And we are also not seeing any evidence of law enforcement patrol vehicles on the ground there. We are going to break away from this breaking news and bring you the very latest on eyewitness news.